everyone, I am Freishia and once again welcome back to our live sessions with HDFC Life, where we are making sure that you are ready to bounce back. We have had some great personalities coming and joining us, and hopefully they have been inspiring each and every one of you. Today we're absolutely delighted to have with us Mr. Rajat Dutta. He's the founder and initiator at Inheritance Needs Services Private Limited, India's pioneer legacy planners. He will be coming and sharing with us some valuable insights and also showing us the importance of legacy planning. Rajat, thank you so much for being here with us today. Over to you.
Thank you, Freishia, for having me today in your program, Ready to Bounce Back. Well, I think in such trying times, bringing back is the most important thing. Well, I'm born an optimist, and as an optimist, I always find there's a silver lining amidst gloomy clouds. And of course, if at all, there is only an upside from it. Let us look at our day-to-day life. In our day-to-day life, we have a seat belt which we are supposed to put on while riding a four-wheeler and a helmet while we go on a two-wheeler. Why do we do this? We do this to curb the risk of any probable accident or road accident which will happen and then save ourselves from our risk. Similarly is the case with the current situation. Working from home is essentially managing the safety and security not only of ourselves but also of our family. We are taking into account all the possible risks that may happen because the COVID is all around us, and hence we take care of our families by restricting our movements within the four walls of this house. And why do we do that? Of course, for the safety and security and to ensure that we are able to fight an invisible enemy. Today, we are ill prepared and hence we do not know what will happen to the future. And that's precisely what is inheritance all about. What is inheritance? Inheritance essentially is to deal with uncertainties. Similar situation as of today, when it is very uncertain. Hence, in case of an eventuality, there is a need to bounce back. And that's precisely what I want to say, that inheritance is actually to take care of future contingencies when the event arises. What happens when there is an uncertain death in the family or somebody departs? At that time, the family is unable to get out of the bereavement of the loved ones, and then the problems starts because all the assets, the finances are not in the right position. And hence, it is very important to keep inheritance in place. Unfortunately, inheritance has been advocated to only making of a will. This shallow definition of inheritance linked only to the will is actually very saddening. And over time, I will take you through how this has to develop.
So how can one stay prepared? By planning their investments, their legacy and their inheritance.
Extremely good question. Actually, planning has been an intrinsic part of our day-to-day life. Let us presume when we were born, our parents started planning on which day school should we get admitted to. And essentially, that school which had a tie-up with a higher secondary school so that we could end up in a junior college in a good educational institution, because that would pave our way for future career and education. Hence, planning is preparedness to face adversities with the sole objective of addressing situations. Similarly, inheritance is one such planning for the future. An individual works extremely hard in a business or profession or even in business to be able to accumulate wealth and save money for the future generations. Now, what is inheritance all about? He prepares the list of an asset pool such that post him it is able to be transmitted seamlessly to the next generation. As you all know, laws are getting stringent by the day. No longer is the myth that joint ownership in an asset and also a nomination is adequate safety for seamless transmission. In fact, the role of nominees and the role of nominees for asset-wise, each asset-wise is different. While in most of the financial assets, in non-financial or immovable assets, the role of nominee is just merely a custodian or a safekeeper on behalf of their heirs. However, the demat account is the sole differentiator wherein the nominee becomes the absolute owner of the asset and what lies within the demat account. And hence, inheritance and planning a legacy is extremely important for the future generation so that post his demise, the beneficiaries can get seamlessly the asset for which the concerned person worked so hard to accumulate and save.
Rajat, could you please tell me that what is legacy and inheritance planning all about? And why is it so important in helping us to bounce back?
Well, each one of us, whether in job, profession, or in business, work very hard or extremely hard to earn money, save a part of it. And why is this saving required? To meet our medical emergencies and costs in future, as also to be able to take part of the period when none of us or each one of us are not in active life, and as they call it, the retirement, and then whatever is left should go unencumbered to the next beneficiary. Legacy is thus this amount of wealth which needs to be passed on to the next beneficiary. And when we say to the next beneficiary, it could be anyone within the family or anyone who is a non-family member. Proper documentation while one is alive is now becoming a social duty, as without proper documentation or lack of it would attract succession laws. And with the attraction of succession laws, things get a little more complicated, time consuming and cost curbing. A few days back, I had a call with my friend in Europe. He is a part of the family which has migrated to Europe in the early 60s. And his children have been brought up there, born there, though they are residents of that country. While they have been grown up in the Indian environment of customs and traditions, before his son went to this university, he was having a chat with his son. And he said to his son that you please take care of yourself and be careful on where you walk. His son immediately responded, Dad, you take care of yourselves because I always follow you. What I want to bring to the fact is that legacy is not only restricted to the material things in life, which is the assets or the wealth, the immovable and the movable properties, or the gold or silver, or the shares in the demat or fixed deposits in the bank accounts. It also means legacy of virtues and values imbibed into an individual. So, inheritance preparedness and compliance is now more of a social responsibility. One who can plan is always a winner. And if you plan, then you can make a change in the plan later on. But it is prerequisite that you must have a plan. So have a plan, be safe, be secure, ensure that legacy moves on, and more so, you should be ready to bounce back with conviction now that you know that with legacy and inheritance well planned, you are able to meet the inevitable. Thank you, Freishia, for having such an indulging discussion and for taking so much details to enable people to understand the inheritance and its relevance, legacy and succession. Thank you so much once again for having me on the show.